Hello everyone, this is Miss Maryam Odobashi and today we are going to start with Unit 6. مرحبا جميعا، معكم Miss مريم أوضباشي، واليوم رح نبدأ بالدرس السادس. رح نحكي فيه بالنص عن History of United Nations، تاريخ الأمم المتحدة. بعد عندي vocabulary prefixes. رح انتقل بعد لقسم الجرامر، رح ادرس فيه future forms، أشكال المستقبل. عندي بعد pronunciation، word stress with different syllables. آخر شي عندي قسم everyday English، رح احكي فيه عن modesty، التواضع. خليكن معنا بالدرس. Unit 6 United Nations. The United Nations was established by the Charter of the United Nations and Statute of the International Court of Justice. The Charter was signed on 26 June 1945 by the representatives of 50 countries, including Syria. Poland signed on 15 October 1945. There were 51 founding members in 1945. The United Nations UN officially came into existence on October 24, 1945, after ratification of the Charter. The day is now celebrated each year around the world as United Nations Day. The UN contains 5 permanent members: China, France, Russian Federation, the United Kingdom, and the United States, and 10 non-permanent members elected for 2-year terms by the General Assembly. The United Nations UN was the second multi-purpose international organization established in the 20th century that was worldwide in scope and membership. Its predecessor, the League of Nations, was created by the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 and disbanded in 1946. The UN also has regional offices in Geneva, Vienna, and Nairobi. Its official languages are Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. At the beginning of the 21st century, the UN and its programs and affiliated agencies struggled to address humanitarian crises and civil wars, unprecedented refugee flows, the devastation caused by the spread of AIDS, global financial disruptions, international terrorism, and the disparities in wealth between the world's richest and poorest people. The aims of the United Nations: to keep peace throughout the world, to develop friendly relations between nations, to help nations work together to improve the lives of poor people, to conquer hunger, disease, illiteracy, and to encourage respect for each other's rights and freedoms, to be a center for helping nations achieve these aims. The principle of the United Nations: all member states have sovereign equality. All member states must obey the Charter. Countries must try to settle their differences by peaceful means. Countries must avoid using force or threatening to use force. The UN may not interfere in the domestic affairs of any country. Countries should try to assist the United Nations. هذا النص بيحكي عن الأمم المتحدة وعن الدول الموجودة في الأمم المتحدة وعن أهمية وجودها وعن أهدافها. ننتقل لحل أسئلة النص. Match the words to their definitions. المطلوب مني أوصل الكلمات على تعريفهم. Charter: a statement of the principles and purpose of an organization. Ratification: making something valid by confirming it. Permanent: continuing to exist for a long time. Predecessor: a system that existed before another one. Affiliated: being joined in a close association. Devastation: the state of being decayed or destroyed. ننتقل للسؤال اللي بعده. Read the text, then answer these questions. How was the United Nations created? The United Nations was established by the Charter of the United Nations and Statute of the International Court of Justice. Who were the founding members of the United Nations? The UN contained 5 permanent members: China, France, Russian Federation, the United Kingdom, and the United States. When was the League of Nations established? The main purpose of the United Nations at the beginning of the 21st century was to address humanitarian crises and civil wars, unprecedented refugee flows, the devastation caused by the spread of AIDS, disruptions, international terrorism, and the disparities in wealth between the world's richest and poorest people. ننتقل للسؤال بعده بقسم vocabulary. Prefixes. A prefix is a letter or a group of letters added to the beginning of a word to make a new word. These prefixes give a negative or opposite meaning to a word. شو هو البريفكس؟ البريفكس هو مجموعة أحرف أنا بضيفها قبل الكلمة لحتى بتعطيني معنى جديد أو معنى معاكس للكلمة. مثلا عندي activate، أنا لو ضفت لها DE رح تصير deactivate، رح تعطيني عكس المعنى. possible، impossible، لما أنا ضفت IM لبداية كلمة possible فيعطتني كلمة impossible واللي بتعني مستحيل، بينما possible تعني ممكن. understand، misunderstand. familiar، unfamiliar. encourage، discourage. logical، illogical. regular، irregular. complete، incomplete. refundable، non-refundable. virus، antivirus. ننتقل للسؤال اللي بعده في قسم القواعد. Look at the statements and answer the questions. I think the weather will be too hot tomorrow. The two companies are going to provide very different experiences. The team managers holding a party now at Britain. When it goes into orbit, the spacecraft will be carrying 25 kilos of plutonium. By the time you get home, I will have cleaned the house from top to bottom. The plane is about to take off in a few minutes. عم بيقلي which statement is for prediction. أي حالة تم فيها التنبؤ أو للتنبؤ هي الجملة الأولى استخدمت فيها I think. Which statements talk about a fixed arrangement. أي جملة بتحكي عن ترتيب ثابت. عندي الجملة الثانية which statements talk about something likely to happen in the immediate future. أي حالة وأي جملة تتحدث عن شيء سوف يحدث في المستقبل القريب. عندي الجملة السادسة The plane is about to take off in a few minutes، يعني خلال بضع دقائق سوف تقلع الطائرة. Which statements talks about a future event that will finish before a specific time in the future. الجملة or the statement number 5 By the time you get home, I will have cleaned the house from top to bottom. Which statement talks about events continuing over a period of time in the future. Statement 4 When it goes into orbit, the spacecraft will be carrying 25 kilos of plutonium. ننتقل للسؤال اللي بعده. What do these people say? Pay special attention to the underlined words. Tom is predicting a win for Manchester United in their next game. Manchester United will win their next game. Intends to get up early tomorrow. I am going to get up early tomorrow. Emily's plan timetable says arrival 9:30. The plane arrives at 9:30. John has arranged to hold a meeting tomorrow. I am holding a meeting tomorrow. Susan will have a big party in the very near future. I'm about to have a big party. Sammy decides to use the new laptop for the next 2 years. I'm going to use the new laptop for the next 2 years. ننتقل للفقرة الأخيرة، فقرة Everyday English Modesty، التواضع. رح نقرأ النص ونتعلم منه جمل ومفردات تخص التواضع. Mr. Khalid, after such a certificate you must feel on top of the world. Oh, it was nothing really, nothing at all. No, I can honestly say that it was a great job, what you've done so far. That's very kind of you, but I feel the real credit must go to the whole team of the charity for their support. You're being called an innovator for promoting such services in society. I must say that finding jobs for the young is something not easy at all. We really appreciate your efforts in the charity. You're embarrassing me. I've just been very lucky for having a wonderful team. I hear that you've planned the whole project. Tell us about that. Oh, you're exaggerating. I only played a small part in the whole thing. It was very much a team effort. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Khalid. Thank you. طبعا أنا لما بدي أعبر عن التواضع ممكن أقول كلمة مثلا That's very kind of you. هذا لطيف جدا منك. أو you're embarrassing me أو أنت تحرجني. ممكن أنا أستخدم you're exaggerating يعني أنت تبالغ. هدول الكلمات بستفيد منهم لحتى أعبر عن التواضع. وهيك بنكون نهينا يونت 6 في كتاب الطالب Students Book. Thank you so much for listening.